In this vision we have for lifetime laborers, I've come to realize how important and sometimes vital a connection and involvement for our grads with the Nav20s really is. For 4 years, Joe Mashoff and I have been working hard to build bridges between the campus and the places where our students land following graduation. For those who don't do EdgeCore, transitioning into the workplace and into the complexities of life after college can be very disorienting. By linking with one of the many connection points in the Nav20s network, especially a City Life team, our grads will be equipped to effectively translate our Nav calling into the places where they now live, work, and play. My hope is that this video will help you understand the nature of our partnership with Nav20s, and even more importantly, that you'll be compelled, like I am, to make sure that we get this right for the sake of our grads.
There are 36 million 20s in our country, and over 33% of them would say that they have zero religious affiliation. Now these are the friends and the co-workers, the neighbors of our grads, and let's be frank, these people are not lining up waiting for an invitation to go to church. The Nav20s are trying to help our grads minister in a certain kind of way so that they have the most influence they can among their lost friends and co-workers.
In the Nav20s, we have 4 pursuits: the pursuit of Christ, work, mission, and community. We feel like those 4 pursuits are vital to help a laborer really labor. The pursuit of Christ, any young adult or graduate who wants to be a laborer must have Christ as their center in everything. And then the pursuit of work. This is the one that doesn't get quite as much press often. Very often we have young adults who don't really know deep in their heart that their work is not an obstacle to ministry, but it's a part of their life and a part of their ministry. God is glorified and pleased with the very essence of their job. Mission is the thing that really separates us as navigators. It's where we carry on this passion for reproducible laboring, that I know how to help someone so that they can help someone else. Mission is key, but we've also learned with mission that it cannot be done alone. Lone Rangers don't get it done. And so the 4th pursuit is the pursuit of community, and the right level of community. Just because you have a group of believers in Christ in the same room doesn't mean you have community. Real community in the Bible is of believers that are like-hearted and like-minded and are passionate about the same things.
Eventually the day is going to come when every college student is going to graduate from their respective college or university. They're going to move into their city or into their town with their first job, first apartment, first assignment, whatever it is. And everything that they learned as a student about how to live amongst the lost, how to disciple somebody, how to share their faith is all going to come to a head in this new context. The Nav20s exist to help people do well in these 4 pursuits that they're just walking into, living and discipling among the lost, to make it habitual for a lifetime.
Kathleen and I had been working on campus for 17 years at 5 different campuses. And so this fall, when we were invited to make this big change into the Nav20s, the very first thing I thought of were all these grads, these dear friends from the past 15 years, and to ask them what they thought we needed to do in the Nav20s. I asked them 2 basic questions. Number 1, what were some of your big takeaways during your time with us on campus? And I gotta tell you, it was fun to hear their responses. Learning how to do Bible study, recruiting a Bible study, and learning how to lead one, seeing people come to Christ in a study, learning how to have quiet time, scripture memory. I remember several people talking about living in a dorm and developing a heart for the lost. It was great hearing all these things. But then the second question I asked them was, tell me about your first 3 years after graduation in the workplace. Now these are friends that are going to healthy churches. I can think of one in particular that's an elder, another that's leading worship for a 20s ministry at a large church. They're all doing well that way. But what I heard from them was they felt isolated in some ways in their Nav vision. They were disoriented, and it was hard to know how the lessons and the convictions they developed on campus and in the dorms translated to their work cubicle, to the classroom, to their engineering job, how could they translate those great lessons they learned during their campus years into the workplace and into their neighborhoods?
One of the great legacies Dawson Trotman left us as navigators is a high value on creating or launching endeavors that are reproducible. Just over 50 years ago, we started to discover what our best practices are on a college campus. I think one way to signify that would be with an orange. It's a very singular focus. A student is either a student or they are not. And it's very singular. With the 20s, we've been seeking the Lord over what's our way forward in the cities, a way that's focused but leaves room for the diversity that 20s are and have. And a grape cluster signifies or symbolizes how we're moving forward. There's a lot of commonalities that link together young adults in the 20s. They face many of the same struggles and barriers. So there is a very definite commonality between them. But yet there's a lot of diversity. One grape could signify a group of mountain biking buddies. One or two of them might be a Navigator graduate, but the others might not be. And that Navigator graduate or two, they have a heart for the whole, for all their friends. They want to help them find Christ. They're linking arms together missionally to reach those mountain bikers. Another one might be a Bible study group of Navigator graduates from a region that they maybe know each other from an STP, and they all end up living in the same city together, and they love that Navigator style of deep Bible study, and they want to do it together. Or a prayer group that meets regularly, a couple of guys in an office building that want to pray for their building. And then all throughout our city, we want to have city life teams. City life teams are highly focused to our mission, our Navigator calling, and to living it out right where they are. So each of these grapes can symbolize different things. Right here in Colorado Springs, in our Nav20s network, there's 20s that are involved with over 12 different churches. And that's the other reason we have a grape cluster, because most of the 20s connected with us are connected with a church somewhere in their city.
What God is doing amongst young people right now is truly remarkable. Half of our congregation are college students. 75% of them are single, and the average age of our church is 25. And so it's a remarkable thing that he's doing here in Minneapolis. And it is becoming a more complicated thing. I think for the first time in our history, none is what people would check on religious affiliation more than anything else. To have a city life team or something like that available could be an excellent resource, a great way for people to make that transition from campus ministry and starting to think about what does it mean to walk with God in community, in life, in work, in neighborhood. And I think that's just an excellent idea.
So a 20s staff, a 20s city leader is the one who ties this all together and helps facilitate what the STEM looks like between these groups. It's a reality that this grape here can't live life with this grape. They're not going to see each other all the time, nor do they want to. They have separate lives. They have separate spheres that they're in. But we found that every once in a while they like to know what the other one's doing. They do want to hang out together sometimes, so they're brought together for some sort of developmental event, once a month or once a quarter or something. I'm not sure there's anything particular sacred about cities in and of themselves, but it just so happens that a city is a high, dense population of souls, of people, and of cultures, and of perspectives. And what's so beautiful is if you take a Navigator laborer and plant them in some sort of dense people group, we tend to multiply. God tends to bless. That's why I'm so excited about seeing our laborer graduates being a part of a Nav20s network in our country.
I'm convinced that cities are incredibly strategic, and we have to go to the cities. Just in Atlanta, before we've even started, over the last several months, John Stark, our 20s director, has been able to make contact with 35 20s. And we haven't even launched yet. And there's countless more out there just like them that are waiting to be tapped, that want help, that will make disciples.
There are many ways for a graduating Navigator student or a finishing edger to engage with one of our Nav20s networks. But for the ones that have a laborer's heart, I can't think of a better way than to either join or initiate a City Life team. A City Life team is a vehicle for a small group of people to commit to one another and to God around the 4 pursuits. And it helps them live a lifestyle of laboring. A City Life team generally consists of 4 to 8 people. Now there's no hard line on that because there might be situations where it needs to be a 3 or maybe a few more, but generally 4 to 8 people is the best City Life team size. A City Life team almost always has a team leader, and that is one of the City Life team members themselves, but one usually is the initiator of the team. Another important thing is we always provide a mentor for a City Life team, someone with Nav background and Nav training that mentors that team the way that City Life team wants to be mentored. What really makes a City Life team, it's not the small group aspect of it, it's not time in the Bible together. Those things are happening in lots of different parts of the body of Christ. What really makes a City Life team is this navigator distinctive of mission. A City Life team is set up not to get our 20s friends to do our thing or to do our navigator thing. It's to help them do their thing and to help them live the way that they have said they want to live.
So I'm an education facilitator. I always like to say that's just a fancy word for trainer. So I work in HR and I do all the centralized training for a large grocery chain in the city. So I work for corporate, but I'm officed at one of our retail stores, and all of our employees, new hires at the retail level, if they get hired, they'll have to come through a centralized orientation. Usually everyone goes through cashier training, and so I am that trainer that they come to. A lot of them come in nervous, and I can encourage them, give them a little confidence before they leave. There's some people that walk through my doors that can't even look me in the eye. I just feel like no one's looked at them. Looked them in the eye and just looked at them and just asked them how they were doing and let them know that they matter. Sometimes it's hard to know where to start because the people I work with are so much older than me. And the ones that are younger than me, usually I've trained. So there's kind of like a hierarchy there. So I don't know the appropriate way, like to make sure that I'm being honorable in my work and not letting the devil win, push me over in defeat because I feel like I'm not making a difference. I think leaving college, where you have such a tight community and these people that care about you and support you so deeply, and you're there around you all the time going into the workforce where they're not there, and you're just surrounded by people that honestly could care less. That's been really hard. So actually, when I first heard about City Life, I just remember thinking like, wow, that's exactly what I want to do, but now I have accountability and community, like help.
One of the things that excites me about the Nav20s is I know that they are committed to seeing lifetime laborers raised up among the 20s, just like I am among students at my university. They will tell you freely they don't have it all figured out, but they are committed to doing whatever it takes to see the gospel advance among 20s in our country. The Nav20s are also serving our students because they have a heart for our students and our graduates as they make a transition into their next phase of life. I think about when Jay Newhart contacted me and said, hey, can I come down from Chicago in order to lead a seminar for your seniors? I said, Jay, that'd be great. I don't want to lead a seminar for my seniors. But more than that, Jay took another step and he said, would you send me the names of some of your alums who are walking with the Lord and making a difference in the world, because I want them to come and participate in this senior seminar so that your students don't just hear from me, they hear from the people that they trust. That makes a difference in my ministry. Jay is actually serving me and my students, not just when they graduate, but right now.
So one of the initiatives that I've been personally asked to work on is a communication effort towards your grads from your college campuses. And I have a team that's been diligently working to refresh those grads in the 4 pursuits of Christ, work, mission, and community. We're very excited about the things that are going on. The monthly publication that will be beginning in August is a part of that. So one of the first things that I did so that I could understand seniors, and specifically the 20s, was to take a survey of your seniors, asking them how they best wanted to be communicated with. We found out some really amazingly good, helpful things from that, and I want to just tell you a few of those. The first things I want to share with you is that it is so important, it is so valuable to your student to continue to stay connected with you. You are the person they want to hear from more than anything. And so I want to encourage you to continue to think diligently about how to create plans to communicate with your grads. Secondly, what we learned is that about 84% of your seniors told us that they want to stay connected with Nav20s on some level. That is awesome, so exciting. So what I want to ask you is, would you please be willing to help get your seniors, your students connected with Nav20s? Help them get to know the Nav20s in your area so that they can more easily connect when they graduate.
Sometimes I have friends say, hey Joe, what are you asking us to do as collegiates? How can we help? What's it look like? And I'd like to give just a couple of ideas. One might be plan exposure or connection with 20 staff in your region into your yearly plan. Not every day, not every week, but could there be a few key strategic moments where you get them around these people? We all know relationships are what count, not organizational structures. So what's it mean for, if I'm on campus in somewhere in Indiana, for the people I know, the students I know, to actually know the 20 staff over in Chicago? What would that look like? Another thing would be to, especially as people's college career continues into the upper years, to sow seeds of the value of work and how important work is to fulfilling mission and being all that people can be. Another way is to continue planting vision for lifetime laboring. Our dream together, collegiates and 20 staff, is for people to labor for a lifetime. And then another way we can work together is at certain events, key events. Our 20 staff would love to contribute at your STPs. At STPs or conferences, campus visits, what's important is don't just invite 20 staff to come and talk about life after graduation, although that is really good and we want to do that and we want to serve that way. But we also want to talk about the basics of the Christian life. What's it mean to meet with God? What's a prayer life look like? What's it mean to share your faith with your friend? To advance the gospel of Jesus and His kingdom into the nations through spiritual generations of laborers living and discipling among the lost. In order to do that calling effectively, in order for us to do it, we've got to do it together. And your part is vital on giving a taste of what that calling is right there on campus.